I've watched enough anime to know how this usually goes. A main character gets completely outmatched, but right before the final hit, something snaps. They get angry, remember a flashback, get a sudden wave of motivation, and somehow beat an opponent they were struggling against just a moment ago. And honestly, I enjoy that stuff. I think we all do. But after a while, my brain just kind of turns off the stakes. I know the protagonist isn't actually in danger, because the story won't let them lose. When I started watching Hunter x Hunter, I kept waiting for that moment to happen with Gon and Killua. They have insane potential, so every time they got into a bad situation, a part of me expected a miracle. But as I kept watching, I realized something that threw me off. If I looked at a fight, asked myself honestly, should they actually be able to win this right now? And the answer was, no. They just didn't win. It's actually funny that what surprised me wasn't some flashy miracle, but a realistic approach. It hit me that Yoshihiro Togashi writes this story with this weirdly grounded realism. If a kid walks into a room with a seasoned murderer, the kid doesn't win just because he's the main character. He gets captured or he has to run. And looking back, the moment I realized why this worked so well was when I finally understood how the power system was introduced. During the Hunter exam arc, I remember watching Hisoka throw regular playing cards hard enough to slice through people's arms and decapitate them. It looked ridiculous. At the time, I didn't think twice about it. My brain just filed it under anime logic. We're used to stories having unexplained weirdness early on. Then, way later, Wing introduces Gon and Killua to the power system, Nen. And to demonstrate it, he takes a simple, flimsy piece of paper, hardens it with his aura, and cuts clean through a wall. I distinctly remember pausing the video right there, because it suddenly clicked. Hisoka wasn't using anime logic. He was using Nen. The rules were already active in the world. I just didn't know them yet. The creator didn't invent a power system later on because the plot needed one. He planted the mechanics right in front of my face from the start, without pausing to give a boring lecture about it. Once those rules were established, watching the Yorknew City arc felt completely different. The fight stopped being about who could scream louder and started feeling like high-stakes tactical chess. Look at Kurapika's revenge. What fascinated me wasn't just that Kurapika got strong enough to fight the Phantom Troop, it was how. He didn't just get a rage boost. He literally put a Nen dagger around his own heart, setting a condition that if he used his chain power on anyone outside the troop, he dies. It was a cold, terrifying trade-off. His win against Uvogin didn't feel like a miracle to me. It felt like the direct, dangerous consequence of a rule he chose to bind himself to. And that's why, when Gon and Killua were captured by the troop, I was genuinely anxious. I knew the show didn't hand out free passes. Even when their leader Crollo was taken hostage later, the tension didn't go away. I genuinely felt like if the troop decided to abandon their leader, as they were originally supposed to, Gon and Killua were just dead. After Yorknew City arc, when it was clear Gon and Killua were nowhere near strong enough for what was coming next, I expected what most anime do, a quick 2-episode training montage, or a time skip so we could jump straight back to the action. Instead, the story gave me Greed Island. What I loved was how the creator made that whole period so interesting to watch. He turned the actual process of mastering Nen techniques, things like Ryu and Ko, into an entire living video game world. The training wasn't something tossed aside to get to the good parts. Watching them struggle through basic, repetitive exercises was the story. And by the time they finished, their growth felt earned to me as a viewer, because I had watched every single step it took for them to get there. That's what kept running through my head the whole time I watched Hunter x Hunter. It doesn't treat its world like a playground where the hero always wins, and it doesn't treat the rules like something it can break whenever the plot gets stuck. It sets down strict, uncompromising logic, and forces every single character, no matter who they are, to live with the consequences. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again on another day with another topic.